You're looking at Angela Merkel upon her visit to Greece. Joining me now is Brooks Macdonald, investment strategist Gemma Godfrey. Angela Merkel is in Greece. Stop me if it's deja vu. Greece doesn't have a plan, and we're not sure what they're going to do. Do you have any sense as an investment strategist, as someone who looks at the market, that you feel more comfortable than you did a month ago, 6 months ago? I mean, how do you look at Greece given every time we felt good for a day, it immediately unwinds?
Well, Angela Merkel's visit is more a sign of solidarity than actually a signal of her offering further support. So actually the situation hasn't really improved from an economic standpoint. You know, if we look at where they are with respect to their economic growth, things have deteriorated, and Greece is a prime example of how austerity damages growth, and so they're no longer able to meet these targets. So the question that we're looking at as investors is we've already seen haircuts for private bondholders, and if we're to see any further lessening of this debt burden, would this be for the public sector, meaning that the ECB and the IMF may start to struggle, and that could actually further deteriorate the firewalls and shake the stability in the region.
What about we've seen a lot of headlines over the last month about Greece going to the ECB, going to European regulators and saying, give us an extension, just give us more time. We need 2 years, we need 4 years. Do those type of headlines worry you as an investment advisor or investment strategist, or is it more it's just noise and we don't really care about timelines on that sense?
Well, you do have to have stability in the region. I mean, even Lagarde came out and said they're willing to give Greece more time because it's better to give them more time than actually have the instability of default. So, that's something that we're watching quite closely. But with respect to, something that may be a bigger pitfall at the moment, Spain is one of the largest concerns for us at the moment, Spain and Italy. Because if you look at the firepower of the rescue fund, it's only 20% of the debt burden of Spain and Italy combined. So those are the real worries in the near term. And a Spanish bailout, it's inevitable at the moment, the way that things are structured.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the contagion fear we talk a lot about and write a lot about. As you look at Spain, as you look at Rajoy and how they're handling this situation right now, I mean, a lot of people were expecting them to request this inevitable bailout, and they keep not requesting it, and every day the euro gets hit a little bit because we didn't get it overnight. I mean, as you look at Spain, is it about nothing's going to happen until we know whether they're going to ask for this bailout and what the terms are, and right now we're sort of in a holding pattern before that?
And well, he's come out and said that he will only request a bailout when yields become unsustainable, and at that level he said he will 100% come out and request a bailout. So what it means is Draghi's actually been a victim of his own success, because he came out and said we'll do everything to support the euro, which brought bond yields down, which means that he's actually being held ransom by Spain because he can't start buying their bonds until they request this bailout and until they say that they'll stick to conditions, which, as you alluded to, we don't know what those conditions are yet.
Interesting. And then ratings agencies overnight told Hungary that they need to get their act together and join the euro or they're going to have issues. They told Turkey that they might upgrade them. So we've got these rating agency comments. And, after everything that's gone on with the ratings agencies, as an investment strategist, do you listen to what they, and do they still matter? Or is what they're saying about these other peripheral regions, given they're very loud in the last 6 to 8 hours, is that important to you?
Well, it feeds into the picture for support for a banking union. Because what this all says is it's incredibly important to break that link between weak sovereigns and what's going on with the banks. And if you actually break that link, you can have that level of stability and that level of oversight that's there. So we're focusing on that very much. What I'd say is the one area of concern we have is with the accountability of a banking union. With respect to if it reports to, at the moment we're saying that the ECB would have oversight, and if it reports to the European Council and the European Parliament that are perceived as weak, that's an area of concern. But there does need to be something does need to be done, because you do need to have a greater form of integration so that we no longer get those shocks. It's no longer a rating agency will come out and say, oh, we're negative on this country, and all of a sudden, throughout the regions, we're seeing suddenly sovereign debts and borrowing yields become unsustainable again. Interesting.
Now, Gemma, you are not just an investment strategist, you are also a quantum physicist, and it's very rare on set that we get a quantum physicist on set. I can only think of it once or twice. How does that background help you as an investment strategist? And what did you learn as a scientist that makes that helps you do your job today?
Well, I mean, quantum physics is an interesting part of science where it actually can be quite illogical at times. So what it means is, first of all, it helps me challenge certain norms. So when a lot of economists come out and quote certain certain economic theories, it's good to put things in context and say, actually, is this in this environment, does that still stand? And make things practical. You know, it's about making practical applications. Quantum physics is fantastic at, you know, steps forward in GPS, in quantum computing, and taking these theories and actually how can we apply them in the real world. And it's the same thing, you know, as we were talking about now, we're debating certain issues that are going on in Europe, and it's, well, okay, that's what we think is going on. How can we apply that to a portfolio? How can we apply that to be able to preserve and grow client capital?
Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to tune in and to follow her on Twitter and everything else that she does. Quantum physics, practicality, markets, all here with Gemma, and please make sure to follow her.